Have you ever looked at your Vegas hotel receipt and thought, what the hell is this? 55 bucks for a resort fee, 40 for parking, 15 for Wi-Fi, even a stadium fee you never agreed to. Well, what if I told you those charges aren't random? They're not about inflation or keeping up with maintenance. They're about covering massive billion-dollar mistakes that Las Vegas doesn't want you to know about. Because behind every outrageous line on your bill, there's a failed mega project buried somewhere in this city's desert. A luxury tower that never opened. A tunnel that promised to move 90,000 people an hour, but barely moves 3,000. A billion-dollar stadium deal that's still not finished. And here's the craziest part. One of those projects, the Warner Bros. Hollywood in the Desert studio, was supposed to save Vegas, an $8.5 billion plan to turn the Strip into the next Los Angeles. But in early 2025, it collapsed overnight. Contractors were already hired, equipment was being delivered. Then suddenly, everything stopped. No financing, no investors, just another empty lot in the sand. And guess who got stuck paying the bill for that disaster? Not the billionaires, not the developers. You did! Through every hidden charge, resort fee, and convenience add-on they could sneak onto your receipt. In this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on how Las Vegas lost billions chasing impossible dreams, and how the city quietly turned those failures into a new kind of game. One where the house always wins, and the visitors don't even know they're playing.
Part 1. The $20 billion Mirage. When the pandemic ended, Vegas promised the biggest comeback in its history. A $20 billion rebirth that would make the Strip shine brighter than ever. But behind the marketing slogans and ribbon cuttings, something else was happening. The city wasn't rebuilding for visitors. It was rebuilding for investors. Developers, hedge funds, and casino conglomerates started throwing money around like the boom times had returned. They called it the Vegas 2.0 era, a futuristic, high-tech city that would outdo Dubai, Hollywood, and Wall Street all at once. Every press release bragged about billions in new projects, the Fontainebleau finally reopening, Elon Musk's underground loop, a brand new baseball stadium, and even an $8 billion Warner Bros. Studio complex. The city sold the dream that Vegas was back. But the truth? It never actually recovered. The Fontainebleau alone burned through $3 billion and sat half-finished for over a decade, a glass monument to overreach that baked in the desert sun while creditors fought over scraps. The Vegas Loop, pitched as a futuristic subway, turned out to be a tunnel where tourists waited 20 minutes to ride in a Tesla driven by a human. And the Warner Bros. Deal, which was supposed to diversify the city's economy, collapsed before the first brick was even laid. By the time the headlines faded, billions of dollars had vanished into the sand. But the lights on the Strip still had to stay on. Someone had to cover those losses. And when the big money walked away, the casinos did what they always do best. They found a new game to rig. They started charging more for less. Fees for parking, fees for Wi-Fi, fees just to breathe the same air as the high rollers upstairs. The city's so-called comeback was never about bringing Vegas back to life. It was about finding creative ways to make the public pay for the house's bad bets. And if you look closely, every receipt, every hidden charge, every overpriced drink, it's all part of the same illusion. Vegas didn't lose its magic overnight. It just ran out of people willing to believe in it.
Part 2. When the bets went bad. Every great Vegas story starts with a gamble. And for a while, the city couldn't stop placing them. Billions poured into shiny blueprints and overhyped announcements that promised to redefine the Strip. But one by one, those bets went bad. And the people who lost the most weren't the billionaires who made them. They were the workers and tourists who kept the lights on. The first big warning came from the Fontainebleau, a towering $3 billion dream that spent more years as an empty skeleton than as a functioning hotel. Its marble floors were laid, its escalators installed, its rooms decorated, and then the money just ran out. The original developer went bankrupt. The next owner sat on it for profit. For more than a decade, it loomed over Las Vegas Boulevard like a ghost, a 67-story monument to greed and bad timing. When it finally reopened, it was already drowning in debt. Most of the profits were gone before the first guest even checked in. Then came Elon Musk's Vegas Loop, a project that sounded like science fiction. Self-driving Teslas zipping under the Strip, 90,000 passengers an hour, a futuristic subway to move tourists in seconds. In reality, just a glorified tunnel taxi with long lines, human drivers, and passengers paying $10 to sit in traffic underground. Reddit called it a tunnel to nowhere. It became a perfect metaphor for corporate Vegas. All hype, no payoff. And while that was happening, city officials were celebrating another historic investment, the A's Stadium deal, a $1.75 billion ballpark that was sold as a win for the public. Except $380 million of that came directly from taxpayers. The billionaires got their subsidies, the politicians got their photo ops, and locals got higher fees and more broken promises. One lawmaker even said it out loud: "We're subsidizing billionaire team owners while working families pay $50 a day in resort fees." That's the Vegas version of trickle-down economics, except the only thing that trickles down is the bill. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, Warner Brothers arrived with the ultimate fantasy: an $8.5 billion film studio campus, complete with sound stages, production offices, and a promise to bring Hollywood to the desert. But before the first shovel even hit the dirt, the whole deal collapsed. No tax incentives, no stable investors, just silence. Contractors laid off overnight. Empty lots where billions were supposed to flow. That's the pattern Vegas can't escape. The city bets on spectacle. The spectacle fails. And when the money dries up, they turn around and quietly charge you to make up the difference. Every new innovation is really just another distraction, another spin of the roulette wheel with someone else's money on the line.
Part 3. The Great Fee Explosion. When the billion-dollar dreams fell apart, the city had two choices: admit it lost or find someone else to pay for it. And that's when the Strip quietly flipped the script. Vegas didn't raise room rates overnight. That would have been too obvious. Instead, it did something smarter. It started inventing new ways to charge people for the same old experience. A few dollars here, 20 there, hidden behind fine print and flashy slogans like resort enhancements and guest convenience packages. And before anyone noticed, a new kind of Vegas economy was born, one built on fees, not fun. It started small, a parking fee here, a resort charge there. But as the mega projects bled money, those temporary adjustments became permanent line items. By 2024, most Strip hotels were charging $55 a night just in resort fees, before taxes, before the room, before you even checked in. Want to park your car? That's another $40 a day. Need Wi-Fi? Included in your resort fee. Translation: you're paying for it twice. Casinos even started adding new ones: stadium fees during major events, venue maintenance charges, premium access surcharges. These weren't profits, they were bandages, desperate attempts to plug the holes left by years of bad bets, abandoned tunnels, and stadiums that didn't exist yet. Inside the hotels, staff could see the shift happening in real time. Dealers noticed fewer players at the tables. Cocktail servers noticed smaller tips. The energy changed, the laughter, the noise, the sense that everyone was winning something. Now, it's quieter, colder, a city trying to smile while it's drowning in its own debt. And the guests, they started to feel it too. Reddit threads calling Vegas a ripoff. TikToks showing empty casinos at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. Comments like, "We used to come every year, but it's not worth it anymore." People stopped feeling lucky in Vegas. They started feeling used. And maybe that's the saddest part. Vegas didn't need a new theme park or a billion-dollar studio to lose its soul. It just needed to start charging people for the things that used to make it special and calling it a comeback.
Part 4. The human fallout. If you really want to know how bad things have gotten in Vegas, don't look at the skyline. Look at the faces behind the counters, behind the bars, and behind the blackjack tables. They'll tell you everything you need to know. A veteran dealer who's been on the strip since 2010 told me, "My tips used to average $300 a night. Now I'm lucky if I take home $100. Half the tables in her pit sit empty most nights. The crowds are thinner, the laughs are quieter, and the money just doesn't move the way it used to." She says the tourists have changed too. They used to come ready to play. Now they just come ready to complain about their bill. Cocktail servers and pit bosses echo the same thing. Shorter shifts, fewer hours, more stress. They used to joke that Vegas never sleeps. Now, parts of the strip feel like they're taking a nap. One young bartender at a mid-tier casino said it best, "I thought I was joining the party. Instead, I'm watching it end." She says management cut her hours twice this year, but raised drink prices 3 times. The only thing going up in Vegas anymore are the prices and the desperation. Locals see it too. On Reddit, on TikTok, on Facebook groups where longtime visitors share old photos of crowded tables and cheap buffets. Now, the comments are just stories of cancellations, fees, and disappointment. Canadians, once a third of all international arrivals, have started boycotting the city altogether. Many say it cost nearly 2,000 Canadian dollars just for a weekend. And when they see the final receipt, they promise never to come back. You can feel the betrayal in their words. Vegas used to make everyone feel like a high roller, even if they were broke. Now, it makes everyone feel broke, even if they were doing just fine. For the workers, it's personal. Because when the casinos lose guests, the workers lose everything else: tips, shifts, rent money, pride. The dealers, servers, and housekeepers are the backbone of the city, but lately, it feels like they're the ones being asked to carry its debts too. This isn't the Vegas that used to exist, the one that was wild, unpredictable, and alive. This is a colder, quieter version. A place trying to act rich while bleeding itself dry. Part 5. The breaking point. It always happens the same way in Vegas. The lights stay on long after the money's gone. But lately, you can feel it. The illusion is starting to crack. The complaints that used to float around quietly online have turned into something louder. Travel forums filled with receipts and screenshots. TikTok videos of empty casinos racking up millions of views under hashtags like Vegas ripoff. One post showed a deserted blackjack pit at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. The caption just said, "Vegas is dead." 15,000 comments later, it didn't feel like an exaggeration anymore. Canadians, once the most loyal international visitors, have started choosing Mexico, Montreal, even local casinos over Vegas. They share price breakdowns in Facebook groups, full trips elsewhere for less than a single night on the Strip. One woman wrote, "We spent more on fees than on food. Vegas used to be our tradition. Now it's a scam." Her post got thousands of likes and hundreds of replies saying the same thing. American families are doing the math too. When a weekend in Orlando or San Diego costs less than 2 nights at a mid-tier Vegas resort, people start making different choices. The myth that Vegas is for everyone has finally collapsed under the weight of its own greed. And it's not just visitors losing faith. Even some employees are starting to speak out. A hotel accountant said off the record, "We're not raising fees to make profit, we're raising them to survive." That's the quiet part no one wants to say out loud. The biggest casinos in the city are bleeding, and they're passing the bandages to the customers. For decades, Vegas ran on a promise that anyone could feel like a winner here, even just for one night. That's what made it magic. But when you start charging people for Wi-Fi, parking, and stadium access they'll never use, the magic dies.
Vegas stopped being an escape and started feeling like a bill. And here's the truth no one in the boardrooms wants to face. You can only squeeze people so hard before they stop coming back. The casinos think they're fixing the problem, but they're actually creating it. Because the more they charge, the more they remind people that the house doesn't just win at the tables anymore, it wins at the checkout counter too. The breaking point isn't coming. It's already here. And if Las Vegas doesn't change soon, the next jackpot the Strip hits might be its last one.
Part 6. The Illusion of Luxury. Vegas used to sell escape. Now it sells status. The old Vegas promised the same thing to everyone, that for one night, no matter who you were, you could feel rich. You could get a steak dinner for $20, see a show, and walk into a casino feeling like you had a shot. That's what made it magical. But somewhere along the way, Vegas decided that wasn't enough. They rebranded excess as luxury, and they used that word to build a wall between the dreamers and the truly rich. Now, the city's full of velvet ropes and bottle service menus that cost more than a mortgage payment. The cheap buffets are gone, replaced with $200 tasting experiences. Bars that once served $8 cocktails now charge $38 for a whiskey with smoked ice. The hotels call it elevating the experience. Locals call it what it really is, pricing people out of the experience entirely. Even the atmosphere changed. The laughter that used to echo down Fremont Street is gone, replaced by influencers posing for their followers. Vegas used to be about letting go. Now it's about showing off. Employees see it every day. A cocktail server said, "I used to serve couples celebrating anniversaries. Now it's crypto guys live streaming their night." For her, the tips are smaller, but the attitude is bigger. She said, "They call it luxury, but it just means we have to act like servants instead of hosts." Vegas keeps telling the world it's moving up market, but in doing so, it's forgotten who built it. The regular people who came here chasing a little bit of magic. Now that magic costs extra. And every time they add a new premium charge, the city loses a piece of its soul. The illusion of luxury isn't about what you get anymore. It's about what you're willing to lose to feel like you belong.
Part 7. The corporate takeover. Ask any old-school Vegas local and they'll tell you the same thing. Vegas stopped being a city of gamblers a long time ago. Now, it's a city of landlords. After the pandemic, private equity firms and real estate trusts quietly bought up nearly every major property on the Strip. Names like Blackstone, Apollo, and VICI properties. Not casino brands, not showmen, not risk takers. Just financial machines that see every slot machine, every hotel room, every overpriced drink as a line on a spreadsheet. These companies don't care if the casino wins or loses. They just care that the rent gets paid. And that rent isn't cheap. Billions in loans, interest payments, and profit margins, all baked into the cost of your resort experience. One casino host told me off the record, "We used to fight for players. Now we fight to hit revenue targets." He said the pressure comes from people who've never even stepped foot in Vegas. Analysts in New York running algorithms on visitor spending. If the numbers dip, they raise the fees. If the tips go down, they cut shifts. The goal isn't to create memories anymore. It's to extract as much money as possible before the customer notices. This is why Vegas feels different now, colder, less human. The old casino bosses were ruthless, sure, but at least they loved the game. These new owners, they love balance sheets. When you walk into a casino today, the real gamble isn't at the tables. It's whether or not the city can survive being owned by people who don't even live here.
Part 8. The mirage of the future. Every time Vegas starts to fall apart, it sells a new fantasy. In the 90s, it was family-friendly fun. In the 2000s, it was luxury. Now it's the city of the future. You could see it everywhere. LED towers, drone shows, AI-powered attractions. The Sphere was supposed to be the next global icon. $5 billion, an engineering miracle. And yet, it's bleeding money every quarter, desperately hunting for new acts that can fill the seats. Every few months, some tech billionaire shows up promising to revolutionize the Vegas experience. But what they really mean is build something huge, get the headlines, cash out before it collapses. That's the new Vegas cycle. Hype, build, fail, repeat. A city built on illusion now lives on one. It keeps pretending it's evolving when really it's just changing costumes. From mobsters to moguls, from cards to crypto, from entertainment to algorithmic exploitation. A taxi driver put it best when I asked what he thought of all the new high-tech attractions. He laughed and said, "Vegas keeps trying to be the future, but it's forgetting it was already perfect in the past." The truth is, Vegas doesn't need to reinvent itself. It just needs to remember why people came here in the first place. Not for billion-dollar spheres or tunnels under the desert, but for that feeling that just for a night, you might get lucky. And right now, luck is the one thing Vegas seems to be running out of.
Las Vegas was built on risk. It's what made this city special. Every neon light, every jackpot, every wild night started because someone was brave, or foolish, enough to take a chance. But somewhere along the way, the gamblers stopped running the city, and the accountants took over. Vegas used to be about people taking risks to win big. Now it's about corporations taking no risk and charging you for theirs. Every new fee, every fake luxury, every failed mega project. It's all part of a system that's forgotten what made this place magical in the first place. The irony is almost poetic. A city famous for gambling destroyed itself by refusing to gamble on people anymore. Instead, it gambled on greed. It bet on hype, on debt, on spectacle, and when the chips didn't fall their way, they passed the losses down the line. From billionaire boardrooms to your weekend getaway. That's why Vegas feels different now. It's not the lights, or the prices, or the traffic. It's the soul. The soul that came from cocktail servers who knew your name, from dealers who wanted you to win, from tourists who came not for status, but for the story. Vegas sold its story for a spreadsheet. And when the numbers stopped adding up, it did what it always does. Found someone else to pay the bill. But maybe that's the final illusion. Maybe Vegas isn't dying. Maybe it's just reminding us what happens when a city built on luck forgets how to earn it. Because in the end, the house doesn't always win. Sometimes the house burns itself down. And when the smoke clears, the desert will still be here, quiet, endless, waiting to see if Las Vegas ever learns from its own mistakes.